Notice is hereby given of the regular meeting of the Board of Education of the Town of Westfield in the County of Union, New Jersey at 7:30 PM on the evening of January 3rd, 2013, in the boardroom of the Administration Building, 302 Elm Street, Westfield, New Jersey. The purpose of the meeting is to transact the regular business of the board and to transact any other business to come properly before the board. This is to advise the general public and to instruct that it be recorded in the minutes that in compliance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, entitled the Open Public Meetings Act, the Westfield School Board, on Wednesday, December 19th, 2012, caused to be posted at the office of the Board of Education located at 302 Elm Street, Westfield, New Jersey, and delivered to the Westfield Leader, the Star Ledger, and the Westfield Library, Town Clerk of Westfield, Alternative Press, and Patch.com, a meeting notice setting forth the time, date, and location of this meeting. Please stand for the flag salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At the annual election held on November 6, 2012, Lucy Biegler, Gretchen Olig, and Rich Matesic were elected for 3-year terms to the Board of Education, and J. Brendan Galligan for a 1-year term. All 4 members were sworn into office before the start of this meeting. At this time in the meeting, I'd like to take roll call. Lucy Biegler.
Here.
Ann Carey.
Here.
Mark Friedman. Brendan Galligan.
Here.
Roseanne Kerstead.
Here.
Ginny Lights.
Here.
Rich Matesic.
Here.
Gretchen Olig.
Here.
Mitch Slater.
I was hoping someone with a Z would join the board, but it's here.
Or TUVW.
TUVW, anyway.
I'm not first anymore.
The first item on the agenda is the election of president. Do we have any nominations?
I'd like to nominate Rich Matesic. Second.
Any questions, comments? Ready for a vote? Lucy Biegler,
Yes.
Ann Carey,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan,
Yes.
Roseanne Kerstead,
Yes.
Ginny Lights,
Yes.
Rich Matesic,
Yes.
Gretchen Olig,
Yes.
Mitch Slater.
Yes.
Congratulations, Mr. Matesic. I'm going to turn the meeting over to the new president.
Take your head, buddy. Take that. Leave the laptop.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Welcome back. Happy New Year. With that, I would like to call for nominations for the election of the office of Vice President.
I would like to nominate the junior senator from Delaware. No, that's I would like to nominate my friend Roseanne Kerstead to be vice president, continue a great job she's already done in that position.
Second.
Any comments, questions, discussion? Okay.
Rich Matesic,
Yes.
Lucy Biegler,
Yes.
Ann Carey,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan,
Yes.
Roseanne Kerstead,
Yes.
Ginny Lights,
Yes.
Gretchen Olig,
Yes.
Mitch Slater.
Yes.
All right. With that, welcome to the board, Lucy and Brendan. Welcome to have you aboard. One of the things that we like to do is remind ourselves of the code of ethics for board members. It's obviously very important to each of us to operate with the highest sense of ethics as we move through the school year. And what I'd like to do, just above and beyond simply signing the oath of ethics, is to ask that we simply read aloud the various ethical obligations that each of us have taken on as board members. So why don't I start, and then we'll go around the table. So each of us acknowledges and agrees that a school board member shall abide by the following School Board Association Code of Ethics for school board members. I will uphold and enforce all laws, rules, and regulations of the State Board of Education and court orders pertaining to schools. Desired changes shall be brought about only through legal and ethical procedures.
I will make decisions in terms of the educational welfare of children and will seek to develop and maintain public schools that meet the individual needs of all children, regardless of their ability, race, creed, sex, or social standing.
I will confine my board action to policymaking, planning, and appraisal, and I will help to frame policies and plans only after the board has consulted those who will be affected by them.
I will carry out my responsibility not to administer the schools, but together with my fellow board members to see that they are well-run.
I will recognize that the authority rests with the Board of Education and will make no personal promises nor take any private action that may compromise the board.
I will refuse to surrender my independent judgment to special interests or partisan political groups, or to use the schools for personal gain or for the gain of friends.
I will hold confidential all matters pertaining to the schools, which, if disclosed, would needlessly injure individuals or the schools. In all other matters, I will provide accurate information and, in concert with my fellow board members, interpret to the staff the aspirations of the community for its school.
I will vote to appoint the best qualified personnel available after consideration of the recommendation of the Chief Administrative Officer.
I will support and protect school personnel in proper performance of their duties.
I will refer all complaints to the Chief Administrative Officer and will act on the complaints at public meetings only after failure of an administrative solution.
Thanks, everyone. I would ask the board to consider items listed as 4, 5, 6, and 7 on page 3 of the agenda.
Second.
Comments or questions? Ginny?
Yes, I had asked Dr. Dolan for an understanding of why we were approving the district organization chart.
Yes, actually, in the state suggests that every year the Board of Education approves a current organizational chart. So that is why, actually, all of these items are suggested by the state that they that we approve them once a year at the organization meeting.
Anyone else?
Rich Matesic,
Yes.
Lucy Biegler,
Yes.
Ann Carey,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan,
Yes.
Roseanne Kursted,
Yes.
Ginny Lights,
Yes.
Gretchen Oleg,
Yes.
Mitch Slater.
Yes.
With that, I'd like to move to announcements. Brendan, anything on your end?
Yes. As we reported at the last 2 Board of Education meetings, the Westfield school community has responded generously to those affected by Hurricane Sandy. The following examples represent some of the attempts to make recent holidays a little brighter for Sandy victims. On December 18th, Roosevelt Intermediate School's Student Council presented the United Fund of Westfield's Sandy Relief Program with $856 raised for local victims of the hurricane. And Westfield High School's Key Club raised $1,100 through their Stop the Clock fundraiser held at the high school. All the money is targeted for the Westfield United Fund Sandy relief efforts. The club also held their annual craft fair for kids, Winter Wonderland, on December 15th, with all proceeds going to the local Habitat for Humanity building programs.
Thank you. Gretchen.
In addition to previous contributions to shore communities, Tamaqua's families donated dozens of holiday gifts and $750 in gift cards during the holidays for families in the Atlantic Highlands which have been affected by the disaster. Also, before our winter break, in just 10 days' time, through efforts led by Westfield High School and Edison Intermediate School, our community worked together and raised $5,000 in gift cards for Jersey Shore families. In addition, another $600 in donations, as well as several boxes of cleaning supplies, were given to a Barrier Island church that has been feeding and caring for hundreds of families for more than 2 months. Elm Street's administration offices and friends, the Fine Arts Department, and the Westfield High School Choir helped contribute toward a total of $6,000 in toys, backpacks, school supplies, and gift cards for families in now see, this is where not being from New Jersey really hurts me.
Manahawkin.
Manahawkin, Seaside, Toms River, and Silverton. This effort, called A Jersey Shore Christmas, was led by a niece of Linda King, survivor of fine arts. And I am from New Jersey now. Not
Supervisor.
Supervisor.
And
Oh,
survivor.
Supervisor. I'm done.
So
The
great.
next relief effort began more than 2,000 miles from New Jersey. A few days after Hurricane Sandy hit New Jersey, our Community Relations Office received an email from a teacher in Arizona whose father had grown up in Westfield. The teacher wanted to help the New Jersey shore, where she had fond memories of spending time with her grandfather. She inspired her third grade class to make scarves and another class to make blankets to keep Sandy victims at the Jersey Shore warm this winter. Arrangements were made for Joe Paradise, a teacher at McKinley School and an active volunteer, to receive 124 scarves and 12 blankets, which he donated to an organization called Union Beach Santa, or UB Santa. According to Mr. Paradise, UB Santa was really appreciative of the scarves and blankets, and the third grade teacher from Tucson told of how excited her students were to help. She explained that the students lived in such a different climate, where they only experience a lot of rain about once a year. She wrote in one of her emails, "So this has been a project with many teachable moments. The moment that I hope lasts the longest is helping others and reaching out to those in need. Thank you so much for all that you are doing for the families. New Jersey has a special place in my heart." It's a nice story.
That's a nice story.
Thank you. Okay. Oh, Lucia?
I'm 7. Let's go.
Oh,
Am I
you're
the only
5.
one?
I
Oh,
was
I have to
3.
go in order?
Oh, 3.
You
Or 4. 5.
I guess I'm next. This is an announcement regarding athletics. Senior, actually that's high school senior, Courtney Weiss has been nominated by her coaches as the Westfield High School representative for the New Jersey NJSIAA Awards Luncheon on January 27th. The program celebrates New Jersey's female athletes in the National Girls and Women in Sports program. Courtney is a varsity letter winner in girls lacrosse and volleyball. She recently signed her letter of intent to continue playing lacrosse at Dartmouth University. Congratulations to Courtney. She is an academic and an athlete achiever.
The Westfield Parent-Teacher Council Special Education Committee's next meeting will be Wednesday, January 16th at 7 p.m. at Edison Intermediate School's library. The topic, how to best prepare for your child's IEP, will be addressed by guest speaker Hillary Freeman, a special education attorney who is a member of the American Association of Trial Attorneys, the International Dyslexia Association, and Autism New Jersey. This program is free and all are invited to attend. For further information, email specialedparents@westfieldnjk12.org.
On Monday, January 21st, the Westfield Public Schools will hold a 4-hour session for all schools. Students, staff, and the community are encouraged to attend the 26th Annual Interfaith Service commemorating the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. The service, organized by Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. Association of Westfield, will be held at 1 p.m. at the First Congregational Church, 125 Elmer Street. The student winners of the annual essay, poetry, and art contests will be presented with their awards during the program, which also will feature guest speakers.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, one more?
Oh, go ahead.
Let's not forget.
No, it's not for you.
I'm honored to read this one especially. Come out and join Washington School's annual show on Friday, January 25th at 8 p.m. and on Saturday, January 26th at 1:30 and 7 p.m. This year's show, which is written, choreographed, produced, and performed by the Washington School community, is called Toy History. The show is a major fundraiser for the school, and as a retiring music director and a former director, along with Mrs. Biegler, one year, I can tell you it's something you don't want to miss. The Washington School Show is a big part of our community and a classic, and I'm sure this year's show will be wonderful.
Thank you. The next Board of Ed meeting will be Tuesday, January 22nd and the agenda will include a preliminary discussion of the 2012-2013 school budget. 2013-2014 school budget. With that, we'll recognize the public for agenda items only. All right, seeing no one come to the podium, I'd ask that the board approve the minutes of the board meeting held on December 11, 2012, and the private session minutes of December 11, 2012. Have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained because they weren't board members?
Forget to tell you that.
Okay, thank you.
I saw red, but I didn't know why.
Yeah.
With that, we'll go to the superintendent's report.
No superintendent's report.
All right, thank you. With that, I would ask the board to consider personnel items number 1 through 15.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments or questions, discussion? All right,
Rich Matesic,
yes.
Lucy Biegler,
Yes.
Ann Carey,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan,
Yes.
Roseanne Kursted,
Yes.
Ginny Lights,
Yes.
Gretchen Oleg.
Yes.
Mitch Slater.
Yes.
All right, with that, I'd like to go to the facilities report and ask Dr. Dolan to cover 2 topics.
Yes, we do have 2 updates. It might be hard to remember, but our last meeting was actually the same night as the bond referendum. So this is our first meeting since we've had the results of that. So I wanted to make sure that I thanked all of those who went out and voted regarding the bond referendum in December. If you were going to vote for that bond referendum, you really had to take it upon yourself to go out there, either attend any of our meetings or watch our meetings on the internet or watch them on television or read the newspapers or somehow access the information to make an intelligent decision. And luckily, we had a number of people, thousands of people in Westfield who did just that, who took it upon themselves to become educated and to vote, and we appreciate that. And we also appreciate the fact that the bond was approved. As promised, we started work on that right away. As a matter of fact, the morning after we received word that the bond had passed, the architect was meeting with our business administrator, Dana Sullivan, to determine which, we know we couldn't go for all the roofs because there's just not enough time to get approval and bids, et cetera, but they worked and they believe that they're going to be able to go forward with 3 roofs this summer, the rest to be done the following summer, and the architect is now working at that and will bring back the plans for further discussion, and we still anticipate we'll be able to go out to bid on 3 roofs in the spring. So we're very pleased about that, and again want to thank the community for their efforts and for voting. The other item that has happened, one of the other items that has happened since our last meeting was unfortunately the horrible shootings in Sandy Hook in Newtown, Connecticut. And that's something which we have actually communicated a great deal about since that meeting, both in emails to parents and also letters that were sent not only to parents but to community at large and published in newspapers. Certainly this tragedy has touched everyone, no matter what our role is. And those who work directly with children or are parents or grandparents or who are responsible for others' children, I think it's touched especially hard. And so we've done a great deal of work since then to make sure that our children are safe now and going forward. This was one of the times where the Westfield community really came together well. And that happened immediately. I was on the phone with the police chief while the news was they were still determining what had happened that afternoon. And I was on the phone with the town administrator and the principals. And we immediately took steps, not that we're in Newtown, not that we're in Connecticut, but we immediately took steps. And parents of students know how some things changed in each of our schools. And we're very fortunate, I think, because it's not as though we just found out about the Westfield Police or the Union County Police. We've worked closely with them for years. And New Jersey actually has quite a few requirements for schools regarding security, regarding our practice of emergency drills and the like. And so we weren't starting from scratch. We had a lot of experience. We have emergency plans. They're reviewed every year. They're discussed with the police. We get input from the county. We get guidance from the state. So we were not starting from the beginning. We had a base to build from, and we've always had a cooperative relationship. And that cooperative relationship continues to grow. The board was also supportive during all this, as was the town. And we did have a meeting even before our break. Rich and Roseanne were there, as well as other members from the district and the police and the fire department, the mayor, and one Councilwoman Nealon also. Making sure we were all working together on this very important topic. And then since then, we've had members of the community who have reached out, members of the community who have experience in this area, who are trained in security, who are trained in law enforcement, and who offered their services to help us out. As a matter of fact, we have one member in the audience tonight. Charles Sullivan was one of the people with a great deal of experience who has helped us out. And so trying to pull together all of the minds, all of these minds that I'm referencing, we've started additional surveys and reviews of each of our schools. Each of our schools is just a little bit different. Different age students, different type of building, different number of doors, etc. So we're taking advantage of all of these different perspectives, of all of this knowledge that we have, and working together to try to make sure we take the best steps possible for all of our students and all of our schools. So we appreciate all the people who are working together, and that work has begun, and it's going to continue. And I will also thank people who maybe it's not even their background, but they've been thinking long and hard about it because their child or their grandchild is in a certain school, and who have reached out to the principal or to me to say, have you thought about? And who have given thoughts and have made suggestions. With all of that, we're going to make sure that we do make our schools safe for all of our children. And that's everyone's number one intention. So the work has begun, and it will continue, and I do thank everyone in the community who continues to work with us on that.
Thank you. Comments or questions? Okay. With that, I would like to go to long-range planning. Okay.
No report.
Thank you. Policies, Roseanne?
Okay. I'd like to ask the board to approve the following policies for first reading. 2240, controversial issues. 5308, pupil health records. 5331, management of life-threatening allergies in schools. 6111, special education Medicaid initiative program. 6510, payroll authorization. 6830, audit and comprehensive annual financial report. 7422, school integrated pest management plan.
Second. Yeah.
Discussion, questions. 5308, 5331, 6111, 6510 are all new policies that are newly required by the state. So we do subscribe to the policy company Strauss Esme, so we use theirs as a guidance, and the appropriate people in the district who are most expert in those topics reviewed the policies to ensure that they fit with Westfield. We were in fact in compliance, and then it was reviewed by the policy committee. 2240 was just a review. And basically because of the issues that occurred last year regarding the book, we thought it would be a good idea for the policy committee to relook at that. And we found that the policy, as it was, really helped guide the board in how we should go about addressing controversial issues that are brought up with the public. The school integrated pest management plan was approved for first reading already, but we had some staffing changes, so it was never approved for final reading, so now it's back on the table to approve for first reading. there are really no changes to that either. Any questions?
Rich Matesic,
Yes.
Lucy Biegler,
Yes.
Ann Carey,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan,
Yes.
Roseanne Kursted,
Yes.
Ginny Lights,
Yes.
Gretchen Olig,
Yes.
Mitch Slater.
Yes.
And then the policy committee, I'm sure many people don't remember, but in last January at our meeting, we discussed putting more of our policies online for easier access to the public. And while it took almost a year, we are happy to say that many more of our policies are online. And as we review and revise the policies, they will continually to become online. So if Dana or Dr. Dolan, just going to show you what the page looks like. That's not the page. So if you go to school board tab, and then go to board policies, oh no.
Must be drawn.
But that's where you'll find it.
It was working earlier today.
Okay.
Please,
It's
okay.
not
It was working at 4 o'clock this afternoon, I don't know
Of
what
course it
happened.
was. Maybe if you refresh it, that's all.
It's probably some of the pests when the pest
Yeah, the
policy.
pest management, we need a pest management for the technology.
So Roseanne, what's up there now are the ones that we have within this past year reviewed and approved?
As well
or-
as additional ones. So this year, we have approved 38 in final reading, and there are 12 more, well, there are 7 in first reading today, and then there are 5 more about to come to first reading. So 50 policies.
And they look like this, like what we decided.
Yes.
Is there any
great.
reason we can't put them all?
But the policy committee felt that it was important that we reviewed all of them to ensure that they are still representative of the way we run our district before we put them up online.
But those policies are always available.
They are
to the
available
public,
to the
To the
public.
extent
Right.
someone
Yes.
wants to see one,
Right.
of course.
Yes.
It's opening in new tabs.
I know, I don't know how to get to, I
Yeah.
can't get to it here. I think Lori has it though over there.
Oh, what happens if you open the tab?
Yeah, go to the other tab.
The same,
No, you get.
Up top, Dana.
Yeah.
up on the top?
No, it's,
Yeah.
I tried that,
Yeah.
Oh.
it's not working either.
It's
That's all right.
it's a
right,
Wi-Fi issue.
well-
Okay. It's there. It'll be there.
So go to school.
Try
to
this at
board
home. I'm
gonna
policies.
If not, email Roseanne, she will send you the
Yes, I'll
policy
send you the
immediately.
proper link.
Yeah.
Unless you,
No.
we can plug, do you want?
She's
that?
available 24/7.
Well, if
Get
it
all
takes a
policies
minute,
if you
we'll
want.
do it.
No, I think it's,
24/7, yeah.
3 a.m., you need a policy?
Right now.
She's your girl.
yeah, you have to.
We're in real time here.
Oh,
Well, you probably have to do,
No signal.
yeah,
Guess you have to go over that side of the room.
no, I think it's just not computing. That's okay.
That's all right.
That's all right.
It's all right. I
Yeah,
think we're-
okay,
All right.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
yeah,
I think it's
Anything
going.
else?
that's all.
All right.
I think it was going. Oh.
Oh,
On to set.
Yeah, there it is.
There you go.
Ah, okay, there it is, yep. So if you, that's just so,
Scroll down.
policies and regulations of the Westfield Board of Education are listed here for your information. And then it describes that there are different categories for the policies. As you can see, section 0 is the bylaws for the board, section 1000 is for administration. And if you were to click on bylaws or administration, it would take you right to that section. And then the listing of the policies within that section. And then if you click on an individual policy, let's just say, then it will open that up for you. Slowly.
Oh, it's my laptop, it's very slow.
That's okay. So
That's
there
great.
you go.
All right.
So,
Good work.
as you can see, there are a lot of policies there. We do have over 500 policies in the district. so we are working hard to get through them.
Thank you for doing all that.
Yeah,
I know you
it's
and
a lot of
Rosemary
work.
worked really hard.
Yeah, that's great.
That's all.
That's all. All
Thank you
right.
to the superintendent's office.
Yes.
Curriculum, instruction, and programs. Ann.
No report.
All right, thank you. Finance, I would ask the board to consider items 1 through 7.
Second?
Thank you, and I would note item number 3, a monetary donation from an anonymous donor to the Franklin School PTO to be used for the purchase of 2 laptop computers, 2 classroom audio systems, 2 document cameras, and a printer for Franklin School. I would also note item number 4, a monetary donation from Geraldine Morrison for the Tamaqua School Achieve classroom to be used for a color printer. And I would ask the board to note item number 5, a monetary donation from the Northfield Bank for the Westfield High School Science Department. We thank you for all of those donations. I would also note item number 6, just a correction that the amount is referenced, there's just a typo, the amount should be referenced as $400,000. Any comments or questions?
Rich Matesic?
Yes.
Lucy Biegler?
Yes.
Ann Carey?
Yes.
Brendan Galligan?
Yes.
Roseanne Kursted?
Yes.
Ginny Lights?
I have a question. Sorry.
All right.
Have I lost my opportunity?
No, it's a new year. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, that is true. I'd like an explanation of the draft budget calendar, attachment 5.
Sure. So
Thank you.
let me just find that. So one of the things we talked about in finance was laying out all of the steps that we would walk through with the board and put the dates down, leading up to the public vote on the budget. And Dana had that idea, which I think is very helpful, so that we all know what the contact points are. And as I mentioned earlier, our first public discussion will be regarding the preliminary budget, and that will be January 22nd. I can walk through each of these if you'd like, but I think your question is just a higher level, right? What is intended to happen?
All of the above. You
Okay.
can, I think it would be valuable to walk through it.
Sure. So, do you want to walk through this, or you want me
Sure.
to? Okay.
So, well, you mentioned January 22nd again already. February 19th, we have a board meeting. We probably will not have state aid at that point. We may not. So we would anticipate having some budget discussion, and depending on whether we have state aid information, that'll depend on how detailed the discussion is of the budget. Right now, we're projecting the 21st of February to be the receipt of state aid. We have a special board meeting scheduled for February 26th, which would be the adoption of a tentative budget. And as those of you who know that have been here before, the tentative budget can be changed. So that's by no means it's final, obviously, it's tentative. But you are required to submit a budget to the county. I believe that date is March 4th, which is why we have the meeting right now scheduled for February 26th. This is a draft, by the way, because these dates could change depending when we get the official notification from the state. But we wanted to plan ahead and get these dates on the calendar for now, because usually they don't change by too much. If they change, it might be a day or so. If the board adopts a tentative budget on the 26th, the 27th, we would submit to the Union County Superintendent of Schools. On March 5th, we would have a detailed budget presentation and a workshop, which would allow questions from the board and the public. Same thing on March 19th. And at this point, we're projecting a public hearing on the budget on March 26th, and final adoption would be after the public hearing. So again, this is really just a tentative schedule.
Right.
And once we get more information from the state, we may have to change these dates. And if you decided you wanted to add dates, you certainly could do that as well.
No, so that's so helpful, and thanks for calling that out, Ginny, because there are 6 touch points where the public can come and ask questions, and we will be discussing the budget. And as Dana said, we can add more dates if we need to. Can we get this on our website?
Sure.
That's great.
At what time in the future will we, board members who are not on the Finance Committee, understand the process that we will be going through constructing the budget?
So I think the first touch point will be the 22nd of this month, right? We'll walk through that.
Sure. And at that point, we'll be understanding all the intentioned process that we'll go through, the conversations, and who we'll be hearing from or not, in terms of what data and what categories of information.
So we can go through at that meeting how we're formulating the budget and what we plan the presentations to be, if that's what you're asking. Because we've done
Yes.
it different ways over the years,
Yes, we have.
some more expansive, some not. So
Right.
why don't we do that on the 22nd?
Right.
And we can determine whether that makes sense. And there's still plenty of time to change it if we need to.
Right. Well, that really is my request, to understand what process we're going to undertake,
What
so
you're
that
gonna
we
see.
all know what to expect during what timeframes, with what levels of information, so that we can all prepare ourselves to be responsive.
Great.
Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt
No,
the
it's
the
perfect.
voting.
Unless anyone's changing their vote, I'd just proceed.
Okay, Jeannie Lights,
Yes,
Gretchen Oleg,
Yes.
Mitch Slater.
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you. I'd ask the board to note the notes for the record. With that, I would go to legislation, and
No formal report, but I guess the one thing that I would mention is that what's going on in Washington right now with the Sandy relief bill will have a huge impact on our budget here in New Jersey. And I think the last report I read was that the House will be voting tomorrow, possibly. They keep pushing it off, but whatever happens there will affect, the governor's budget and school funding in New Jersey. So we should all be keeping tabs on what's going on there.
that's a good point. Unfinished business. Any new business? Any ad hoc committee reports?
The Technology Committee will be meeting next Friday, and we'll report back on at the next meeting on some status on the website and a few other things that we're working on right now.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any liaison reports? Ginny?
Yes, I attended Union County Ed Services Commission meeting last evening, and among other things, we did have a review of some of the items that had come up for conversation regarding the aftermath of Newtown, Connecticut. That commission uses a safety consultant to review and audit their safety exercises, to conduct tabletop exercises, as well as review emergency plans and procedures. So I thought that was interesting, but otherwise, I think we also do a comprehensive job. And I want to bring to the board's attention, next Wednesday, Union County School Boards Association will be meeting at Westfield High School, 6 p.m. School finance is going to be covered as a topic, and I believe that should be an informative meeting. Dr. Dolan and I will be attending, and other board members are welcome to attend.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. With that, I would again recognize the public for questions or comments on any topic.
Good evening. My name is Greg Casco. I'm a resident of Westfield, product of this school system. I come to you tonight with a few comments and two questions. The comments I'd like to make are that, first of all, I want to recognize the job that our crossing guards do on a daily basis to protect our children on their way to and from school. As a retired police officer, I witnessed firsthand the job of these men and women that they do on a daily basis. With that being said, about a year ago, I had contacted the Westfield Police Department with some questions regarding crossing guards directing traffic. I had not gotten a response. I then went to the town council. being that these crossing guards are employed by the town of Westfield, I felt that they would lead me in the right direction with an answer. I did not get an answer. 2 weeks ago, when the two students were struck in front of Edison Junior High School, I emailed the town council and the mayor the next day. And in that email, I outlined 4 separate incidents that I've witnessed as a cyclist, a motorist, and a pedestrian, where near accidents almost occurred as a result of crossing guards remaining in the roadway after children have crossed safely and directing cars through stop signs. My question to you is, why are they directing traffic after their job of crossing students is completed? And if so, who has given them the authority to do so? My concern is that I have a daughter that attends Edison that crosses that crosswalk those two students were struck in. And I have a daughter that walks Westfield Avenue and crosses at the crossing guard at Doreen and Park where Westfield intersects. That was one of the locations where I witnessed a near accident as a cyclist. This is happening. It's happened several times. I've brought it to the attention of the town. I attended the meetings that this Board of Education, along with the town council, held with regard to the parking and safety issues around the high school. I approached Gordon Meth after one of those meetings, and I asked him, I said, Mr. Meth, are crossing guards allowed to be directing traffic? I don't usually ask a question if I don't have the answer, and I did. According to the MUTCD, which is the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, which is basically the Bible for traffic safety officers and traffic safety engineers, it specifically states that they are not supposed to be directing traffic in a law enforcement manner. Standing in the middle of the roadway and directing vehicles through stop signs once children have crossed is directing traffic in a law enforcement manner. I'm hoping that this will be addressed. I'm hoping that I can get an answer. I have told my children that they are to obey the crossing guards when they are crossing. However, when they're told to cross, to make sure they look both ways, just in case. I don't want them to assume that a vehicle that's coming towards a crosswalk is going to stop. I want them to wait until that vehicle has stopped so that I know that they can safely cross the street. I don't have all the answers to, rectifying the problem. I know that this town is congested with vehicles around certain areas, certain schools. I know that during those parking and traffic safety or pedestrian meetings that you had, one of the issues was the grid around the high school. And I think somebody had talked about Edison, whether it's turning Grove Street into a one-way off of Rawway, between Rawway and Westfield Ave, for the hour or two during the day when kids are crossing, and not allowing left turns off of Rawway Ave as people are coming south. I don't know. I mean, there's suggestions out there. We have a competent traffic safety officer in Jason McGurlin at the police department. But I'm hoping that this can be resolved before another tragedy happens. Thankfully, those children were not seriously hurt. It's my understanding they were in school the next day. I appreciate the time you've given me here to speak, and I thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Sure.
Sure. So a few thoughts in response to that. We'll reiterate your thought about thankfully the students who were hit by the car are recovering quickly, and it wasn't a more serious accident. Similarly, I'll echo your comments, thanking the crossing guards throughout town. They do a good job. My understanding is the crossing guards do report to the town. They're not employed by the district. They don't report to us. So I don't know that we can direct them to either direct or not direct traffic. It is my understanding that they shouldn't be directing traffic unless they are also policemen or women. I don't believe that's part of their job. But again, I don't make the rules with respect to the crossing guards. They do report to the town. We can certainly talk to the town administrator, with whom we have an excellent relationship, and try to understand what the crossing guards are doing if they are directing traffic. And I think more importantly, understand the circumstances at Edison. My understanding, just simply from what I read and heard, was that it was unusually, the sun's reflection was unusually harsh that day, which to me suggests it probably is other days as well. So we should understand if there are things we can do to make that intersection safer. But I think that's sort of where we intersect with the town. And we could certainly, I venture to guess you've already made that request or talked to the town about
Right.
whether there are things we can do at that intersection and other intersections to the extent we need to. So we do need to continue with that.
Yes, absolutely. That process has started, but we can certainly continue with it.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from the public? All right, seeing no one else come to the podium. We do have a private session this evening, so I will ask the board to approve the following resolutions. Resolved that the Board of Education move into private session for the purpose of discussing matters rendered confidential by state and federal law, personnel pending or anticipated litigation, and pending or anticipated contract negotiations. And be it further resolved that any discussion held by the board, which need not remain confidential, and the results of the discussion will be made public as soon as practicable. Have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, with that, we are adjourned.